Hi everyone. Catches win the matches. Yeah. Today you are watching this ball. So it is the matter of the cricket. But today this proverb catches win the matches. It's a very famous proverb of the English, but we are using today's our topic physics grade 8 science CBSE NCERT book. That's chapter name is the friction. So that is why we using this ball, and this saying we use especially in today's our topic that catches win the matches. Where's the ball come in my hand? So it's the due to the friction, and that is our today's topic friction. Where's the ball come in my hand? So children, why? Due to the friction. Friction, what is a friction? Friction is a force that oppose the motion. Motion, it means when ball come down. So that is the motion in my hand. It put also the one force. So friction is a force that reduce the motion of the ball. So that is why it is our topic friction. Children, did you see sometime why, and did you think why the birds can fly in the sky? Why? Because due to their streamline shaped body. One more question. Why the fish can swim in the water? Because they have the streamline shaped in their body. That is why the fish can swim under the water. Birds can fly in the sky. Can we fly? No children, we can't able to fly. Why? Because we haven't the streamline shaped body. Can we swim? Yeah, we can swim, but for a whole time, for a long time, we won't be able to remain in the water. So now further, various type of the day to do daily life questions, various example I have brought for you today's topic, that is the friction. That is the very interesting topic. Now further, did you see children, when the kabaddi player, once they start the playing, before that they rub their hand with the soil. Why children? Because the kabaddi player want to increase their roughness of the hand. Why? Because opponent can't be hold their hand. So that is why they want to reduce the friction of the hand. Further, whenever you play the carom, once you play the carom, that time you also add the few boric powder on the carom board. Why children? Because the reducing the friction. How the reducing the friction? Because once we add the powder, that reduce the friction, and due to that we can slide balls very easily. So that is why we add the boric powder on the carom board. Children, did you see in the cricket players, they wear the spike shoes? Why? Because the spikes that also give the grip in the pitches. Whenever the football player go into the court to play the football, they also wear the spikes. Why spike shoes? Because they also give the grip on the court, and they would have not slip. Children, one more question. Did you think why we can walk on the earth? Due to friction, we can able to walk on the earth. Did you see children? Whenever there is we go outside, then we carry a bag. That is maybe the trolley bag. That is very easier to carry the heavy load. Why? Because the trolley bag have the wheels, and wheel always there is the helpful to carry the heavy load, and that trolley bag also reduce the friction, and they helpful to move on further with the heavy load. So various type of the examples we have. Now further, suppose we can walk on the road due to the friction. Suppose no friction, then maybe we slip on the road. We can ride with the help of the friction. So in the various type of the matches, various type of the games, friction use, and in our daily life, everyday life, everywhere the friction is present. We can write on the blackboard. I make here is the drawing of the ball, and this all whatever I have written on the board due to the friction, and we can stand also due to the friction. We can walk also due to the friction, and whenever we run we can walk on the wet floor. Why children? We can walk on the wet floor. That time also we wear the different type of the slipper. In the whenever we use the toilet, that time also we use a rubber slipper, and they won't be able to wear the outside. Why? Because that is the due to the friction. So various type of the examples we have the friction. So that is very interesting topic. So let's see. So first we are talking about the friction. So it is the picture of the ball, and this ball have the grooves, this type of the grooves. Children, what is the grooves? Whenever we wear our footwear, kindly you watch your footwear. Its sole, once you see its sole, it have the grooves, and whenever it become the flat, so it's a friction also the reduce, and it may be the fall, either the maybe the slip. So that is why we change the our footwear very soon. And children, one more thing, friction is our friend and foe also, and it also the wastage of the energy also. Its example is the machinery. All the machinery, they also the wear and tear. It is the wastage, it means it is the foe, and sometimes it is the friend. So friction is a friend, it means advantages. Friction is a foe, it means the disadvantages. It have the both. So that is why we see in the all chapter in the depth all the frictions, friend and the foe parts. So let's see. First, friction. What is the friction? Friction is a force that is the reduce the motion of the any object, such as children, this is the match box, and once I slide this match sticks on it, children, what will happen? It will give the light to us due to the friction. It is able, this example is able I give to you due to the only the friction. Why children friction? Because this is the smoothness of the match box, and once I slide this match stick on it, so it give the roughness, and due to this phosphorus, it is the reddish color is the phosphorus, and this phosphorus increase the roughness of the match box, and due to that we able to slide on it and to light. Now children, we see the further what is the friction. We have the lots of the example. It is there is the relevant to our life. Every example, everywhere is the present the friction. So let's see. What is the friction? Friction opposes the relative motion, and because two surface in contact, it's act on both the surfaces. It is the friction. Let's see the further. What is the sliding friction? Comes into the play when an object is the sliding over the another. One object, that is the slide on the another, that is the sliding friction. Now for the sliding friction, I have given one example of the trolley bag, that is the example of the trolley bag, and the ball, whenever in the football ball, either there is a cricket ball, both are the example of the also the sliding friction. It can also the slide, and the carom board also there is the sliding the small balls. So sliding friction come into the play, and when object is sliding over the another. Now here is the compulsory for the friction that two surface be must. Now further we see the fluid friction. Fluid friction, it means any type of the fluid, and there be must the gas, either the liquid, so can be minimized by giving suitable shapes to bodies moving in the fluids. So it is the fluid friction. So we had seen various type of the example of the friction. So further what we have today's contents, let's moving ahead. Hi again. So let's see what is the friction. Friction is a force that there is the oppose the motion, that is the friction. We had seen various type of the example in the beginning. Here also I have brought for you the various type of the example such as the football. Children, it is there is the different type of the shape. It is the ball and it there is the can run either in come into the action due to the friction, and it is the swimmer that can swim here due to the friction. It is the example of the shoes, children. Why, children? It is the example of the shoes, and it is also the wear, once we wear, and sometimes it can be the tear due to the friction. So friction also the play the different type of the role, friend and the foe. Now further we are going to see the friction. Friction, force of the friction. Definition of the friction force. When a motion occur or about to occur between the two surfaces in contact, at that time because of the interlocking of this system and interlocking of irregularities in these surfaces oppose the motion, and resisting force generated due to the interlocking opposite to the motion and is called the force of the friction. Why, children? How it is? This is the force of the friction and it is the M1G. It is the load. Here is the friction force and it is the shear, the reaction force. So it is the friction force. Now further we are going to see factors affecting the friction. Friction depend on material properties such as the roughness, how clean the surface area are the other type of the factors, and friction depend upon the two factors, especially the two factors, nature of the surface in the contact, the smoothness of the surface. First is the smoothness of the surface. Here it is the smooth surface. Friction is less on a smooth surface. Whenever the friction use on the smoothness, it is become the less, and friction is more on a rough surface. It is the rough surface. So here is the friction increases. So that is why the friction is more on a rough surface. It is the rough surface and it is the smooth surface. So here we had seen the various factors affecting the friction. Now further we are going to see the spring scales. What do you mean by the spring scales? It is the various type of the spring scales and how we use it. Now we see the further spring scale or a spring balance or a Newton's meter scale is a type of the mechanical force, and gauge and the weighting scale. It is also the weighing scale. We can measure the weight by the weighing, and it consists of a spring fixed at one end with a hook to attach an object at the other side. So that is why it is a spring scale. Now further we are going to see the friction is a necessary evil. Why, children? Yeah, friction is necessary and evil also. How, children? Once here is the nail, okay, it is the nail. Once we apply the few force on the wall, and due to this force and due to the especially the friction, it can fix into the wall with the help of the hammer. So there are instances in daily life where friction is a necessity. For example, without friction we can't hold object in our hands, we can't walk, can't light a match stick without the friction. Sometimes friction is not desirable. For example, friction between machinery parts which cause wear and tear. As friction is advantageous also to us, it considered as a friend, but due to its disadvantage. Advantages, so friend. Disadvantages, so foe. So it's play the both the roles, friend and the foe also. So disadvantage, it is a foe, and depending on the circumstance, whatever the circumstance, and friction can be help or a hindrance. It means the foe, and thus it is necessary evil. It is necessary, but it is a evil also, and due to this necessary evil, it showed the various type of the wastage of the energy. That is why it is apply various type of the machinery, wear and tearing various type of the things also. Now let's see the further. It is the example, a girl that she is the trying to sliding a matchstick on the matchbox and light to the match sticks. It is the picture that I demonstrated in the beginning. Now further we are going to see it. What happened? Here is the peel of the banana, and one by there is the they slipped. How it is slipped? He is the simply walking, but when there is the peel of the banana comes under the shoes, so here there is a slipped. And why the slipped? Due to the friction. Now further we are going to see increasing and reducing the friction. Methods of increasing and reducing the friction. In real life, there are circumstances when we have to increase the friction and minimize the friction. We can increase the friction, we can reduce the friction. Both things we can do here. So, can we increase the friction? Yeah. How, children? We can increase the friction, increasing the roughness of the surface whatever in the contact. For example, treading of shoes in the tire is done to the increase friction. When friction is undesirable, we have to reduce the friction. Friction can be minimized by the using lubricants and like oil and the grease, and by using the ball bearing between the machine parts, a substance that is introduced between the two surface in the contact, and to reduce friction is called a lubricant. And fluid friction can be minimized. It means the less. Minimized, it means the reduce, either the less by giving the suitable shapes to the objects and moving in the fluids. So here we had seen the methods of increasing and the reducing the various type of the friction. Now further we are going to see reducing friction. Friction can be reduced by using lubricants like powders or oils and the grease, using rollers or the wheels due to reducing the friction. Now using ball bearings, we sprinkle powder on a carom board to reduce the friction. Oil or grease is the applied between moving parts of machine to reduce the friction. Rollers are used in the baggage to reduce the friction. Wheels are also used in the vehicles to reduce friction. Ball bearings are used in the ceiling fans and bicycles and the vehicles to reduce the friction. So we had seen various type of the examples daily our lives, how to reduce the friction. It means how we reduce the motion of any object. It is the friction. Here is the given, this are playing the carom board, and they added simply here is the boric powder to reduce the friction. Here is the trolley bag. It is the example of the wheel. It is the grooves, and that is why this is the example of the car wheels, and it can move due to the friction. It is the ball bearing of the any type of the motor, such as the ceiling fan, either the any type of the other motor. It is the example. So now let's see the further. It is the fluid friction. Fluid friction is the force of friction exerted by the liquids and gases on objects moving through them. Fluid friction depends upon the speed of the object. This is the speed of the object, such as the example of the bird, example of the plane, and shape of the object that I told you in the beginning, the shape of the plant, shape of the birds, shape of the any type of the fish. They have the streamline shaped. That is why plane can also be fly in the sky, birds can also be fly in the sky, and the fish can swim into the water due to their body shape, and that shape is the streamline shaped. Now further we talk, the birds flying in air and have streamline body to reduce the fluid friction. Fishes living in water have the streamlined body and to reduce the fluid friction. So here we had seen the various type of the fluid friction. Now further we talk about the parts of the ball bearing that is used generally into the motor, various type of the motor. Then how we use it and what is the its structure. It have the outer race, it means the outer part. Inner race, it means the inner side of the race. Rolling element, it is called the balls. That is why it is called the ball bearing, and it is there is the separator. It is separate the rolling part, ball bearing, in the separator. Now here is the one more example of the plane, that is the action of the drag, lift, weight and thrust. These four principles are applying, thence the anything can be fly into the space. So fluid friction, that is why it is called the fluid friction, and this fluid friction, that is why this plane can the fly into the space. Now further we are going to see various type of the, here is the also the picture of the ball bearing. They have the brake disc, they have the brake capillary, protective cover and capillator ring, and the bearing. It is the stator and it is the rotor, it means the rotation, rolling, standard wheel and tire. It is the standard wheel and tire. So it is after this all the things include in that, and after that a one tire become a ready. Now let's see the further. A wheel. A wheel reduce friction by the allowing the contracting surface. How it is there is a contact? To roll rather than to drag or the slide over each other. And by reducing friction, we see the reducing friction, a wheel can enable you to use less force to move an object, and they use their push or the pull and meters to compare the amount of the force it takes to drag a load and to move it on the roller. That is why any trolley bag can be rolled due to the wheels, and it is easy to become a heavy load, can carry easily by a any type of the person, either the maybe it can troll by a child also. So that is why, can you watch this picture? It is a picture of the trolley bag, a heavy load here on the trolley, but anybody can easily it is troll this due to the friction. Now further we are going to see the various types of the frictions, example types of the frictions. Here first, before that I want to clear this what is that. It is pushing the force, applying the force and force of the friction. Once we apply the force one direction, so frictions goes the another direction. Both are ever the remains and goes into the opposite direction. Now for the friction, here is the pushing force. So here is this is the pulling force. So here again there is a force goes the opposite direction. Now further see what is the lubricants. Lubricants, what do you mean the lubricants? Now dictionary defined lubricants is the application of some oily or greasy substance in order to diminish friction, and through a valid definition it fails to realize all that lubrication actually achieves. Many different substances can be used to lubricate a surface. Oil and greasy are the most common, and grease is the composed of oil. Oil is also made by the grease, is a thickening agent to obtain its constancy, while the oil is what actually lubricates. The application determines which oil, commonly referred to as the basis oil, should be used. So here we are going to see the types of the friction. This is static friction. First, second is the sliding friction, and third is the rolling friction. So static friction, sliding friction and the rolling friction. What is the sliding friction, static friction and the rolling friction? We will see the further with the examples and their definition. First we see the sliding friction. What is the sliding friction? The term sliding friction refers to the resistance and created by the two objects sliding against each other, and this can also be called the kinetic friction. Sliding friction is intended to stop, to check an object from the moving. It is called the sliding friction, and it is given the example of the sliding friction. Now further we are going to see the rolling friction. What do you mean the rolling friction? Rolling friction is the resistive. It means to barrier. It is work as a barrier that slows down the motion of a rolling ball or wheel. It is also called the rolling resistance. And when a force or a torque is the applied to a stationary wheel, wheel is the stationary, when we applied any type of the force on it, there is a small static rolling friction force holding back the rolling motion. So rolling friction, we talking about the rolling friction. It is the force and it is the friction and it is the surface. So friction always want the opposite force also. It is the definition of the rolling friction. Now further we are going to see the static friction. What do you mean the static friction? Static friction is a force that keeps an object at a rest. What is the meaning of static word? Static word, it means the stationary. It means the whatever the things that remain in the rest position. It is called the static. It is called the rest. It is called the stationary. So now we see, by the name we come to know static. It means the rest condition. Once we apply force on it, it can start to moving. So how? The static friction is a force that keeps an object at a rest. And static friction definition can be written as the friction experienced when individual try to move a stationary object on a surface without actually triggering any relative motion between the body and the surface which it is so. So it is called the static motion. Now further we are going to see the example of the static force, we had seen the rolling force and various type of the force and friction. Now we are going to see what is the meaning of the drag and due to drag. Drag is a mechanical force. It is a type of force, and such type of this force generated by a solid object moving through a fluid. So it is a weight, it is a thrust, and it is a lifting, and it is dragging, and due to these four things it is called the drag. And due to that, a plane, it is the picture of the plane can move further, either the plane can fly in the sky. So today we had seen the friction. Friction is a friend and foe also. So thank you for watching. Until we meet next, till that, stay healthy and stay safe and stay strong. Bye.